Do it. Let's do it. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Dynex, most significant live stream ever, actually. This is going to be a huge announcement. We're here with my man Sumitomo and the team. We have, as you can see, my man Yeti as well is here with us. And yes, this is going to be more or less their show. They're going to explain to you guys what they've been doing in the background so you guys can kind of get a gist of Dynex as a whole. We're going to start with, what is neuromorphic computing and things along those lines. Sumitomo is going to explain a little bit, and then he's going to get into the details of everything else. So without further ado, Mr. Sumitomo, would you be able to explain to us a little bit about neuromorphic computing?
Hey, Champ. Hey, everyone. Really good to be here. Happy to have this stage here. Thank you for hosting the AMA.
Of course.
We think it's going to be pretty interesting, and I have prepared obviously some slides, and at the end of our presentations and discussions and announcements, we're gonna jump right to questions, which you will moderate. But before we get started, I suggest we do a little bit of a backgrounder on neuromorphic computing, just to get everyone on the same page. So basically, it is important to understand, and I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it's important to understand that computing on Dynex is fundamentally different than computing on regular von Neumann machines. Computing on Dynex is more like computing on a quantum computer, for example, or any other alternative computing paradigms. And what it means is that there are basically features which our neuromorphic supercomputing cluster has, which are very, very similar to quantum computing. And I get to it with the following slide. And I don't want to keep it too technical, but it's important to understand. So everyone has heard of the term superposition. So what is superposition? So in our normal world, so to say, we have bits and bytes, and they can be 0 or 1. In the quantum world, where we have these qubits, they can be 0 or 1 or both. That's called superposition. Now, if you look to the left side here on the screen, we in the neuromorphic system also have superposition on a gate level. So what you see to the left is a logic gate, a neuromorphic logic gate. And basically, it accepts inputs and outputs positions at the same time. So you can basically put at the output a voltage and you receive inputs and vice versa, right? And that makes it extremely efficient. And that also leads to the second main feature, which is known in the quantum world as quantum tunneling. So quantum tunneling is basically an effect that the search space can be explored extremely efficiently. You see here to the left, for example, an energy landscape of a pretty simple problem with local minima and global minimas and saddle points. And on neuromorphic computing platforms, you have basically exactly the same behavior. There we call it instantonic behavior, which is effectively the same effect. So as soon as the system reaches the local minima, it turns those into saddle points and jumps right away to the next search space. And by doing that, it's extremely efficient. Now, of course, you can claim it's efficient, but since we announced it and since we have run thousands and thousands of benchmarks and tests and client jobs on the platform, we actually also ran some benchmarks. And the most important one, or the most applicable one, is the Q-score. So Q-score is in reality a benchmark which is used to measure the capacity of a quantum processor to solve real-world problems, right? There's a scientific paper for it. It's open source. Everyone can use it. And they basically measured the Q-scores of the D-Wave Advantage, which is like the largest quantum computer available at the moment with more than 5,000 qubits, D-Wave 2000, IBM, Google Sycamore, etc., etc. The highest Q-score, which was achieved by the largest quantum computer today, was 140. When we measured, we stopped measuring because of pipes and memory limitations, but at this point, we were already beyond 15,000. So it's safe to say that from an independent perspective, by applying a Q-score, right, we outperform practically every available quantum computer today. What does this mean? That means customers on our platform can compute with quantum computing efficiency, but without its limitations. And that's the main topic, because limitations in the quantum world are a number of qubits, accessibility, error correction, and so on and so forth. Now, every week we see new algorithms coming out, quantum algorithms for machine learning, for other optimization problems. We also ran benchmarks, for instance, on quantum support vector machines. And without going into detail, but we outperformed them all, right? It doesn't matter if it was quantum processing units, if it was simulated annealing, scikit-learn, whatever it was, we basically achieved everywhere the best score. And also, if you look at the quantum versions of restricted Boltzmann machines, right, and we have published it in the past, you can see that the free energy, right, evolves towards a better and better and better and better solution, much faster and much more efficient than any other technology out there. Why is that? Because we have basically not a limitation in terms of qubits. We have more than 500,000 GPUs on the system, and they all work on by simulating our neuromorphic chips. Now, everyone who is interested more in neuromorphic computing, first of all, there's tons of videos out there which interested people can watch what neuromorphic computing is. We are the first decentralized neuromorphic cloud computing service ever, and we are also intending of doing a tech deep dive at one point, which we will go really, really deep. But for now, I think it's clear that from a benchmark perspective, we have the most efficient computing system out here.
That's amazing. That's absolutely awesome. So guys, obviously, if you're just joining, this is a massive AMA with Sumitomo and the team over at Dynex, right? We are going to be collecting all the questions until, you know, the end, and then we're going to get into an AMA segment, but you guys don't want to miss what's coming up. They do have a lot to announce. So we have the Dynex product and business model we're going to get into next, and Sumitomo, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes. So if someone wants to utilize or to compute on the Dynex platform, the person is using the Dynex SDK, right? The Dynex SDK, and I'm going to get to the features. We have been beta testing it since a few months now. And this is basically the platform which allows anyone to compute on the Dynex platform. Now, here's some metrics, for example. So since the beta period, we had almost 15,000 Dynex jobs being computed. So on average, 100,000 chips are being used and an average duration of 1.27 minutes. And the average annealing time is 383, which is basically how many integration steps, simulation steps of these chips are being done per iteration. And we use the staggering 409 trillion integration steps per chip. So it was heavily tested and heavily used. And if you look at it from an integrational perspective, we believe that it's highly important that we seamlessly integrate into existing technology. Nobody wants to learn something new. People are using existing libraries for their machine learning tasks, for their optimization tasks. We think custom adoption comes with integration and seamless integration. So here you see on the left side with check marks what we have done. So it's available for Python, PyTorch. We even support IBM Qiskit, which is gate-level quantum computing, D-Wave, scikit-learn, and we integrate it in GitHub Codespace. So basically anyone, you can even on your cell phone, can fire up a good GitHub Codespace and run your quantum computing problem on our Dynex Neuromorphic platform. It's pretty amazing. And next is Google TensorFlow and obviously Amazon Braket, which is the AWS quantum computing service. Now, in terms of use cases, I mean, we have spoken about it, but basically everywhere where it's machine learning or optimization problems coming to life, that's where the Dynex platform is being used. So be it RNA folding, breast cancer products, enzyme target prediction thresholds, charging stations, the optimal positioning. One which really struck me was the super resolution. So basically you take a single image, which is blurred, and then you upscale it, right, based on one image, and make it crystal sharp. I mean, use cases are practically endless. Now, people are using this SDK currently, the closed beta. People could apply. We have a lot of beta users. But the question is obviously, how do we, or how do the ecosystem participants make money? That's basically the main question for everyone, right? The miner want to make money, which we call the workers, right? The customers wanna use it. So how do they pay? What's the business model? And this presentation should explain it. And then afterwards, we actually gonna show how it really works in a live preview. But let me get to the theory a little bit. So the direct ecosystem participants are basically we have customers, we have the miners, and we have experts. So probably not everyone has expected experts in our ecosystem, and I'm gonna get to it in a minute. Let's
So
start.
Dynex is like the center point right there,
and
and everything goes to it. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So let's start with the customer. So we will launch, as planned, in Q4, rather sooner than later, the Dynex marketplace. So that's basically the place, the platform, the portal, so to say, where you can log in, create an account as a customer, and all you need is a Dynex balance to compute. It's basically you maintain as a customer a Dynex balance, similar to a balance, let's say, on an exchange, for example, right? But you have two deposit options. One is obviously you get every customer receives his personal deposit wallet address where you can just put in the Dynex, which you want to use for compute. Or we also will offer a fiat option. So fiat option means you put a credit card on file and it automatically tops up your Dynex as you go, right? So the Dynex SDK, if you send a computing problem into the network to compute, charges you in Dynex, right? So basically, and there's a pricing model, we get to this in a little bit, but basically every single chip for every single integration step, which we call a unit, is being chargeable. Now on the miner side, miner obviously get block rewards. That's the normal model. Miner get transaction fees, normal model. Now miners will also receive what we call the block fees. And I'm going to get you an example in a little bit, but the block fees is basically what the customer pays. So I'm going to explain it a little bit later, but the block fees are being integrated into the block. So basically, everyone who mines these blocks with those block fees, which is compute fees, so to say, from the pools they're mining to. And there's obviously an optional solution reward, which we don't think is going to be heavily used by our customers, because usually what we have seen from the usage of our SDK, it's all about pushing a lot of jobs and getting a model trained, for example. So here's an example. Let's say I have a computing job and I want to run, let's say, 100,000 chips for 300 integration steps. So that requires approximately 4 minutes on the network, right? And probably requires, let's say, depending on what kind of job I'm having, let's say 5 workers, okay? Now, the customer sets the block fee to 6 Dynex, right? Because I need, let's say, a handful of workers for 100,000 chips fits in there for an integration time of 300 steps. Now, what happens is basically 2 transactions are going to happening. I don't see my mouse. Anyways, there's going to be 2 transactions happening. Transaction 1, after 2 minutes, the first block fee. So the customer wallet on our marketplace is going to send the dev fee, which is 30% of the block fee, to the Dynex developer wallet, which is 1 Dynex and 80. And the remaining 70%, the majority of the block fee, which is 4.20 Dynex, is going to get incorporated as a transaction fee. So basically, typically you would see large amounts at small transaction fees, but for compute transactions, you see small amounts and very large transaction fees. Why are we doing it? Because naturally, transaction fees are integrated into the block. They are mined first because there's a lot of money to make, basically, from the memory pool, and they are distributed to all the miners. And then after the second block, the same transaction happens. The customer gets his result. He paid basically 12 Dynex. Miners, or they received 8.40 Dynex in the blocks, in these 2 blocks which have been mined, and the Dynex developers, because we are building a viable business model here, right? We are not, it's not charity work, obviously, right? Are also getting a part. Now, all these transactions, we decided to make this totally transparent. We're gonna show the marketplace wallet publicly in the marketplace for everyone to see. Everyone can see how many transaction fees, how many block fees, what was paid, how much, basically what's the revenue of this whole thing, how are we growing, how is it being spread. Everything is 100% transparent. And the pricing is dynamic. So basically higher paid jobs get fulfilled first, and it depends how many jobs in parallel are being worked on. So for example, this example here with 6 workers is like, the network doesn't even breathe, for like 100,000 chips is nothing for the network for this given job, only a few workers required. And you will see, and you're gonna get to this in the live demonstration, and basically it dynamically adjusts to what's the current price of Dynex, right? Obviously, that's important because people don't want to end up paying $500 fiat converted for one block fee, for example. So it adjusts based on market price, supply, and demand. And that basically makes sure that everyone is being treated fair. Customers get attractive prices, but also cannot drive the price down. Miners will receive substantial fees because these transaction fees are basically the compute fees. And we're going to show them as well on the marketplace so everyone can watch it and you can follow it. From the mining side, nothing has to be changed. The miners are out, they are getting their block fees, but they will see that obviously over time, as soon as we launch this, the block rewards will become secondary and the transaction fees are gonna increase. Now, having that said, that's most likely, and I just wanted to clarify how that works, that's most likely that everyone expects. But there is a second part to the business model, which is not yet to be underestimated. Because you cannot expect, given the experience we gathered over the beta, and also by looking at other cloud services, you cannot expect that every customer is extremely sophisticated in modeling neural networks or computing on quantum computers or computing on neuromorphic platforms. Yes, there are a lot of experienced people out there, but we decided we also include experts in the ecosystem. So that means experts will have a platform where they can create and monetize templates they create. Let's say someone has a license plate recognition model created, let's say for the sake of a presentation. You can put it up on the marketplace, and other users who might be interested in using license plate recognition systems can simply with one click purchase that. That creates an entire new revenue stream for experts all around the world. And it even goes further. So a customer, a company could say, hey, I have here sales order data. I need this really properly. I need this really properly analyzed. I want recommendations to see what has to be done, where are the metrics, so he can actually fully fledged post on the marketplace a job offering. So basically, he could say, here's my data. I want this model be created. I'm going to pay 10,000 Dynex. The Dynex marketplace will act as the custodian. So it's guaranteed that if the job is fulfilled, it gets paid and so on, right? Dynex will provide internal experts at the start, because the same what I said before for the Dynex SDK, that seamless integration is key for adoption. So is the utilization and the usage of the whole platform itself. And we expect actually quite a number of customers just like posting jobs out there. Initially, our internal experts will pick them up and make them happy, which leads to automatically, obviously, using the Dynex platform for compute. It's almost like the oil lamps, right? So our experts are creating the oil lamps, but in order to use the oil lamp, you need the oil, right? And you have basically an end-to-end system. Now, so much for the theory, and I'm going to hand back, and I want to proudly announce that we have made a lot of progress with the Dynex marketplace, and we would love to showcase this now.
All right, Mr. Yeti, are you ready to bring your screen on?
I guess it's time then, right?
All right, let's do it. Here we go, guys. You're looking at the proof of useful work dashboard. Yeti, have at it.
Okay, so as Sumitomo said, the one biggest thing that I've been maybe constantly poking at Dynex about is the transparency factor. Now, obviously, this is something that we hope sets a precedent for the rest of the crypto space in regards to PoUW, which is the level of transparency. And this, obviously, the front page is built from the original Block Explorer. There's some very good bits about that, and obviously there's even more now. Probably the most pertinent bit on the main dashboard is this bit. This is the bit that I was really quite happy to see. Is the PoUW transactional history. So this is every payment in and every payment out. So when a person pays for some compute, you'll see it be deposited into their SDK wallet, and vice versa. When there's obviously payments on the block to workers, those will also be on here. It'll also break out everything from how much the workers are being paid, how much solution fees have been paid, and how much Dynex has made on their 30% slice. I think that's very transparent. You can obviously click any of these and it'll bring up all the outputs, inputs, digital signatures, everything. This is a great step in the right direction. The team has been super keen to start opening up, so to speak, the intricacies that come along with the PoUW. It's taking time, but I think the guys over there have been doing an amazing job. Shall we start from the left-hand navigation and work our way down? I think that probably would be the most sensible.
Yeah, let's do it.
So once you've signed up and once you're registered, you will have the ability to obviously access all of this navigation from the onset. It's not normally shown unless you're logged in. The login is all completely 2FA locked down. So again, extra layer of security. But the very first part is obviously how to compute on Dynex. Now, obviously, you do need a certain level of understanding to be able to compute on Dynex. Although with the new introduction of the experts into the system, necessarily that doesn't always mean that you do, because as long as you can understand what you're intended to run, you can ask an expert to code that for you. And that's something that is quite unique. And yeah, so on the right, you can see pay-as-you-go compute. This is average block fee based on on 100,000 Dynex chips. And this will be live data being streamed into the marketplace. You can actually see it's updating at the moment. Yeah, I mean, this is great overview. There's still a couple of issues with some graphs that aren't correctly loading at the moment. I believe that's soon to be fixed. But you'll see here that you've got here a little bit of how the system works. You can see obviously your job postings that you've put in as a client. So for example, there is 2 in there from my user. You can see when it was posted, how much I've put on it, whether there is KYC involved with the expert, whether or not the expert has signed off on the doing of the work, therefore it needs to go into escrow, so that then both parties can be happy. Obviously, the posting of an expert job is as simple as fill in the boxes, click create post. From there, it will obviously post it on the job board, which is actually under the Earn with Dynex. We'll get to that in a second. But this is as easy as it's going to be. Fill in the boxes, click go. I think this is, from a usability side, this is fantastic. And
Sure.
obviously, I'm going to gloss over this a little bit because obviously this is just a form, but the idea that somebody can go, oh, I've got a really crazy idea, but I don't know how to code it, now opens up that sort of avenue as well. So That's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, you can see from obviously here, you can see your PoUW metrics. So you can see here, I've run 88 jobs this year, 30 just in the last month. And we'll get to that subject in a bit, and the reason why there's so many this month, with an average duration of only 6 seconds. On average, I think I'm averaging around 5,000 to 10,000 chips per job, which on Dynex's system is not a huge amount. That's maybe 25 miners out of the whole network. So it is very efficient. I guess actually there is one other bit, which is that we should probably talk about as part of the SDK. There is a direct connectivity with GitHub code spaces. So if you don't have all of the infrastructure to run the SDK at home, you can set up a GitHub code spaces and run it all from within that, all online, all cloud-based, collaborative style. If me and you, Chump, were to want to do a collaboration together on a bit of machine learning, we could set this up. I could code it up. You could have a look at it, make your changes, and I could see those changes in real time. So the collaborative tools link up has been something that I know Sumitomo's been very proud of to get into the system. From a technical perspective, it's just that next step of integration. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you've got obviously the browse templates. Now the browse templates is something that obviously is being set up as we speak. And these are effectively free or paid, right? Because a developer might want to charge for a script that they've coded. And you can see there's one here, for example. But anything that with the word free, you are free to grab, use, change, adapt, and then run on Dynex yourself if you want to. So again, this has been another project to the teams to make sure that there's enough examples to be able to showcase what Dynex can do in all different manner of circumstances. So I mean, this is, and again, you can see here that you can load it up directly into code space or using GitHub editor, which actually is just a full IDE code-based tool online. And so if anyone knows what an IDE is, it's just basically a code with a library attached to it, and you can code to your heart's content without needing even a PC at that point, because everything is effectively housed on GitHub.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the Earn with Dynex part. Now this is the bit that I even had to ask the team just to make sure that obviously my thoughts on this were correct. But obviously the experts anyone can be eligible to be an expert. There is no restriction on what is considered an expert. It comes down to submission of your code to Dynex or examples of code, right? To prove to them that you're an expert in that field. And then obviously they will lock in the ability to have you as an expert, so you can post replies to jobs and so forth. So there's obviously still some probably bits to iron out for them, but this is again another great start, and again more transparency. As you can see on the right hand side, you've got all the PoUW payment details. So that's again the same stuff that was on the dashboard, but obviously it's also here so that you can see it at any point. And then obviously your POU job history. This is network wide. And in a minute, when I get to the usage edge, you'll see the difference between what it is for a person that's logged into the system. So this goes one step further than, to be fair, even I was expecting for the first version. When the guys showed me this, I was quite blown away. Sumitomo will more than likely tell people that, yeah, I was the first one to be like, I need to see this. I need to see this. Let's see how it's going on. And then they dropped the bombshell that it was pretty much 95% complete. Wasn't quite expecting 95% complete, maybe 50, given the time frame between when I was over in Austria and now. But the team's done a crazy level of work in such a short amount of time. So, and again, this is where, as an expert, you'll be able to see all the job offerings. So you can see here, these are just some examples of some jobs that are in, that the team posted up so that we could obviously do a test run today. But you get the general idea that, so you got, for this one, for example, create a model to optimize financial positions. Do you need me to zoom this in a bit for you, Chump? I don't know
if you could, it might be helpful for some people,
Yep.
unless you want to just read it out loud and explain it exactly.
That's fine. There we go. You got portfolio optimization for a sustainable investment fund. Navigation model for a cleaning robot, or potentially wind tunnel simulation or computational fluid dynamics for a car manufacturing company. So the jobs can be quite varied based on the customer's need, right? So car manufacturer comes along, they're going to want to know CFD and wind tunnel analysis and all of that. But you might have somebody in finance that obviously needs a financial model. So it really does mean that it will allow, ultimate flexibility from a developer's perspective and also client perspective. Sorry, I just spotted one of the comments in the chat. Might want to pick that up later. But I will happily answer that one. So, and you can clearly see here what the budgetary requirements are for that person doing the job posting. It's all very clear, precise, and only upon the point of accepting the person or the expert to do the job will you unlock all of the person's actual details to a certain degree, right? So if I'm communicating with you as a client and I'm the expert, once we agree and that's locked in, then I get to see, who the customer technically is effectively. And then we can communicate a bit more and be able to do a few different things. And again, it's just very clean, very easy to navigate, quick to find where a job offer is. If you're an expert, if you're a client, then obviously it's very easy to post a job. And that's the whole ethos around their marketplace. Quick, easy, clean, and understandable. And I think that's the best way to do this kind of system personally. So let's move along. So
real quick, before you go too far, I just want to let everybody know in the chat that we are going to be having an AMA segment at the end.
Correct.
So post your questions. I'm copying them and putting them aside so I don't miss anything.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Absolutely. No. Absolutely. So obviously, the first time you want to ever run something on Dynex, well, how do you do it, right? And this is where the installation page comes in. It is a 3-step process. Step 1, within Python's environment, you want to install the Dynex package, right? That's pip install Dynex. Step 2, download your Dynex SDK API keys. Nice and simple. Just click this button. It will download it to your device. And then step 3 is literally to import the package and to test to make sure that Dynex is working. And that's as simple as it is. It truly is. Then from there, you can literally code to your heart's content. And Dynex has even been nice enough to include a snippet and sample set of a basic PoUW option. So it shows you how to set up a very basic piece of code and get out a very, rudimentary answer at the end of the day. Now, that obviously won't fit everyone's needs, because this might not be the way you use it. You might not be using PoUW, you might be using PyTorch, or you might be using Qiskit. There's a whole bunch of packages now available, and obviously, as Sumitomo alluded to, they'll be bringing out more as they get them rolled out. There's 2 more already announced that are in the works, and that pretty much covers 90%, I think, if not 95% of all the different machine learning packages out there. So the fact that they're already very agnostic to which package they need is great, right? Because you can take it from any different realm that you might be coming from and just bolt it in with minimal fuss. And I think that's the whole concept for Dynex was, let's create every package we can get and give every person a method to onboard the easiest. Because if you've got to take one piece of code and completely customize it just for Dynex, that's going to make the onboarding process quite difficult for people. Whereas if you make it really easy, where you can just take your code from another place and drop it here, minimal changes, and it works, well, that's the best of both worlds for everyone. So, and then obviously there's a couple of information videos on the right, which will change from time to time. So this might change next week when the guys think of a more appropriate video that they need to show in there. They might actually do a few videos, get a couple of YouTubers in to do some presentation videos. Again, they have the ability to change these videos pretty much whenever they need to. So always worth keeping an eye out in this area in case there's some new information video that might actually help anyone that's using it. Now, obviously we touched briefly on the code library a minute ago, right? Where they're showcasing what is free and available to go take a look at. Now, I'm not going to go over it again. I'm just going to briefly touch on it again. But the idea behind this means that somebody who's got a bit of an idea with coding could take this, run a couple of them, realize actually it's really, really efficient and really meets their needs. And then they can push it over to a developer or an expert and have the rest of their idea coded using whichever package they deem more suitable for their needs. So if that's QSVM, for example, or Qiskit, depending on your needs, depends on, what you can do. And this is something that I said to Dynex myself when they showcased this to me, is that the more examples there are, the easier people understand how the system works. So thank you to the guys for taking my suggestion on board, because yeah, you guys have really been pumping out the examples the last couple of days. I mean, the last couple of days, this wasn't ready. So yeah, I'm very grateful to them to push through and get those done. But the biggest one, usage. And this is the big one, right? Because this is what, from a client perspective, right? Say I'm the client, I want to know how much it's costing me, how efficient things are running, right? How much I've ran on the network, how much is my remaining balance, all those kind of wonderful things. And so let me just reset my visuals. Welcome to the usage area. And now this gets a little bit, wow, that's a lot of information on one page. It is, but it's also all necessary information that's very, very usable for high-level customers and companies that need to understand where their budgets are going. So on this graph on the left-hand side, you'll see, and this is my history. So you can see there, I've done 88 jobs with an average compute time of 37 seconds. At the moment, there is no cost because obviously part of the beta program is that there's no costs attached to it yet because they were still figuring all that out. But you can see here the average chips, the total chips I've used overall, so 1.8 million, which is a drop in the ocean to what they've actually got on the network. The average step size, the total step size, and compute units used. Now, obviously, the compute units used effectively like your credits at that point, right? So your computational credits, you can see here that it shows me my remaining balance. So 998 Dynex or what's left over in my computational balance, not in my wallet, but in my computational marketplace wallet, because they're two separate things. Because what the guys didn't want is you guys linking up your own private wallets to the system, because if God forbid the worst was to ever happen, we would want no one, me, you, Chump, we would want no one compromised, right? Nobody would want that. That would be devastating. So the guys came up with a novel solution of effectively taking the similar approach as an exchange would, right? Where there is a separate wallet that is isolated inside of the service. And that's, something that I'm very, very happy they chose to do, because linking your own private wallets is always a scary prospect in any respect. So, and you can see here that you get to see all your account limits, right? Now, obviously my account limits are showing there, right? The number of reads, 100,000. A nailing time, 10,000, right? Now that's what the guys are set for me. But when you go and register with them, if you do need a bigger amount, then reach out to Dynex, explain your needs for the reasons why, and I'm pretty sure they will gladly increase those limits if your requirements need them. It's just that, there's got to be some sort of limits on it to stop things running over, going haywire, code not optimized on their network and then being ran. So that 60-minute runtime duration is just a fail-safe, that if your code doesn't finish in an hour and you're not really expecting to run stuff for longer than an hour, then it will cut it so that it doesn't impact the network in any way. And that's a very sensible way of doing it. And again, it's just full transparency about everything running. So you can see here's all my jobs completed. And you can see there's 3 pages of them. Starting all the way back, 12th. So I've run a few tests over the last few months, believe you me.
That's awesome.
But not all are in here at the moment because obviously the marketplace wasn't ready at that point.
I mean, I'm assuming the full transparency really does shock a lot of people, because that was, the biggest thing everyone complains about. There's no face, we don't see their faces, but literally everything you're showing is full transparency. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's something that's very much aware to the team. And when I was over there in Austria speaking with the team, that was something that I made acutely aware, like, this has to be transparent if they're going to make it successful, because otherwise people are going to say it's a fraud, it's fake, it doesn't work. Yet if you're being transparent about the amount of transactions and jobs being run and everything like that, then there's no way to say that, because you're seeing it live. And because it's obviously available to anyone,
Mhm.
nobody can deny what their plan is. Now, obviously, there is one other area that I know that they're desperate for me to show, which is the billing area, because that's the one that everyone wants to understand, right? How do we pay to use our Dynex on the network? And Sumitomo briefly went over it when he was doing the breakdown, but the easiest way to describe it is, here's my deposit address, here's my payment ID, no different than an exchange, right? Here's an amount of 10 Dynex that I sent in yesterday, and you can click here, you can see the actual raw transaction, all the signatures, everything. It all validates, matches up, all above board. Obviously, once this is locked in, it's in your wallet and funds. The right hand side is the fiat on ramp, and obviously I know that Dynex is still sorting out the finer contracts for the fiat on ramp, but basically there will be limits able to be set. So if you only want an auto top up of $100, well, that's all your auto top up will be. There's no point in leaving it open, because otherwise there's risk of, if your account was compromised, somebody could, whack a whole lot of transactions on your account. That doesn't look good. So there will be limits. There will be ability to limit stuff and auto transaction. And this is all being done by a proper third party. It's not being done by Dynex themselves. Are not charging your cards, right?
Oh, wow.
Let's be very
that's awesome.
Open about that. They're not. They're using a proper third party that is all financially regulated, covered, legit. It's I don't know if they want me to tell them about it yet, but obviously once it's locked in, you'll be billed on your card in fiat. It'll get auto transferred into Dynex and deposited into your SDK wallet.
Perfect.
So again, another step in the right direction to make sure that what you see on here is everything you need to see.
That's amazing.
So yes, and that's because obviously EU rules and America rules are a little different. EU's bringing in a whole bunch of new rules, and I'm pretty sure that the guys have got something to mention on that in a bit. But basically, this is the first step to their full, not only Dynex on ramp for their marketplace, but a fiat on ramp at the same time. So yeah, I think that pretty much, I mean, other than the packages, which obviously links to all of the different packages that they support, and obviously as more come out, they'll add more to this. That's pretty much about it for the marketplace.
Can I ask one quick question before you get out of there?
Of course.
I don't know if it's
of course.
hopefully it's okay, but so the full transparency thing, right?
Yes.
I think you mentioned to me previously that the Dynex dev fee wallet, I don't know if you already said this, but that is fully transparent, correct?
Correct.
Just to recap
so
that.
On the dashboard here,
yep,
you'll see this says deposit payment. And if you see this one, it says dev fee.
Yep.
So let me zoom that in a minute.
That's awesome.
So that is Dynex's payment, and that is the Dynex Marketplace Wallet ID,
which is 100% transparent, so you guys can see what they've made
Correct.
off this stuff, and that's crazy. That's awesome. I love
yes.
that. Okay.
And then obviously the whole idea behind that is that you can't hide if you're going to be showing what you're paying out and paying in, you've also got to show what Dynex is making as well, because otherwise people are going to say, oh, you're not taking your 30%, you're taking more than 30%. And it just, you end up with the conversation that doesn't need to really take place, because realistically you can see it.
It's all right there. That's perfect.
So,
and that's the biggest thing for Dynex.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted full transparency. You guys got it. That's amazing, at least in my opinion. All right. So, we good to bring Sumitomo back on?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Yeti. That was amazing. I mean, nobody could show this better than you.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you so much, Yeti.
Yeah. So now having seen the marketplace and the SDK, we all know that is great, right? We can compute fast, we have efficient computing, but at the end of the day, everyone will be start watching how many transactions, how much revenue are we generating, how much dev fees, and so on, how much are the miners making. So a very important aspect of a project like this being successful is what concepts do we have in boosting customer adoption, right? Or generating revenue, or however you call it. And I want to explain a few measurements which we have prepared. So one is, for example, we started creating peer-reviewed scientific papers because we also want Dynex to be fully recognized in the academic world, right? So here on the right side, you see already the first draft. We're going to have 3 peer-reviewed scientific papers in the next 3 months. One is almost ready. And this will allow us, recognition, because if you create good scientific publications and proof, that validates obviously what we are doing. The other thing which we also did, and we announced it earlier, is we're gonna publish the Dynex reference book. So it's basically called Neuromorphic Computing for Computer Scientists. So the idea here is, and it's gonna be available on January 15th next year on Amazon. The paperback cannot be pre-ordered, ebook can already be pre-ordered, and this is going to be the complete guide. So you will have the technical background, it contains obviously scientific publications, but it should be also a hands-on guide with a lot of use cases, a lot of examples, sample codes, sample use code cases. I mean, if we do that right, this could potentially become the reference guide for neuromorphic computing, because we maintain the largest neuromorphic cloud computing platform. There's a reference book for quantum computing, which everyone is citing and everyone is using and referring to. We could become this for neuromorphic computing, which is another building block on making the technology we are using here accessible and popular. As another item, which we also announced, is basically there will be products which basically use either neural models which have been trained by the Dynex platform, or which potentially use Dynex computations on the fly. So we basically created a Computed by Dynex badge. So our goal is to have more and more products out there, basically carrying that badge on their site, on their product, basically referring and creating more and more brand awareness that what's happening there is being empowered by Dynex. And then last but not least, and I've seen actually these questions already in the chat about it, obviously we cannot just sit here and wait until customers arrive. I mean, we have a lot of traction in certain areas. We see a lot of requests from the scientific community already, from financial community, from others. We're going to get to it a little bit later. But we are doing something. I mean, Dynex is not your typical crypto project where it's about, sending money in the fastest way possible. Dynex is a different approach, which also requires different marketing measurements rather than the normal Twitter, Telegram, etc., etc. And I'm going to hand over to Sakurismai and we are running a little bit late in time, but so Sakurismai, if you can say a couple of words to what we are planning.
Yes, thank you. I try to make it quick and short. So I can tell you that the Dynex marketing team is getting ready for something really big here. So with the launch of the marketplace, marketing will step out of the crypto world. And this is for a simple reason. So remember the Dynex ecosystem we were just talking about. The main target groups are miners, experts, and customers. While miners and experts are clearly located in the crypto space, you won't find our customers necessarily there. So we're probably the first crypto project that will market its product in a way that has never been seen before in that space. And we're very excited to introduce this to the public. And so go Dynex go, as we always say.
Thank you so much. And by the way, in terms of timing, we stick to our roadmap as we always do. Q4, the marketplace is going to be launched, and these marketing activities, you will see them either later or the beginning of next year, depending on how we do it. I mean, now it's time to push the throttle a little bit. And speaking of which, I want to use the opportunity to make the first announcement. And we are really excited because people have been asking, what are the use cases? Is this something that people really need? I mean, obviously, it is something that people need. And I remember Yeti telling me, yeah, but it's going to be the small, medium enterprises using it. So, in the contrary, I'm extremely excited to announce the 6th largest mobile carrier in the world, state-owned, with his testimonial, China Unicorn, 6th largest mobile operator, state-owned. They're going to use Dynex for the positioning of 5G and PTE base stations. And they tested it thoroughly, and the performance gain was almost 900%, and that was even just in the testing phase. So I'm really thrilled about it because this is a very, very, very large company. It definitely proves that what we have built here is being used by large companies. There will be similar announcements this year at a similar or even greater magnitude coming this year. Stay tuned. We will see. We have prepared them, but we can only speak about it as soon as they announce it or as soon as they give us permission. I'm sure you understand. But this is a major step for Dynex.
Congratulations. That's huge.
So which leads directly to the second announcement. So I was speaking about Dynex-based products and the Computed by Dynex badge. And we have another announcement here to make. I don't want to steal the fire here. So Yeti, I think you have something to say.
Want to play the video, chump?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to stop and share my screen again. I apologize. Bear with me. Uno momento. Let me get this situated. Yeah, guys, again, we're going to be having a Q&A at the end of this, so make sure you guys obviously stay tuned, and we'll be doing that. So, apologize. There we go. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go. That's amazing. That is so awesome, Yeti. Absolutely love it, buddy. Absolutely love it. All
and
right.
now, this wouldn't be me unless it was me turning around and telling people this is not going to be no PowerPoint presentation on this subject, because welcome to Yeti AI. The actual official name is IANA, AI-NNA. This will be something that you will see more of over the next few months as we flesh this out. This has been something that's been a bit of a pet project of mine, and I give Dynex their credit where credit is due. They've helped all of us as a team at Yeti UK Audits to bring this to vision. Right, this is something new and very out there, and it's still got to go through some iterations and some extra enhancements, but as a basis, this actually currently is working and works straight off of the back end of Dynex's system itself. So welcome to the very first Web3 version of an app running completely back end coded to run on Dynex. You've probably seen a few of the Yeti AI transfer learning in the job descriptions. So this is a project between me, Sam, who's actually in the chat, Serpent Tech Vega, he's in the chat, and yourself, Chump. This has been something that we've been trying to you know, work out a way to bring to you know, fruition. This is something that's for us is very important. When I say Dynex helped us, I mean they allowed us to test on their network. They allowed us to link up on their network. The person who deserves the biggest credit is sitting in that channel right now, and that's Samar. Sam has done a cracking job on this. Like, there's no two ways about it. He's gone above and beyond what was expected in such a short amount of time and what is achievable in such a short amount of time. But should we run something? I mean,
sure.
you want to see it work, right?
Hey, I just work here, man. You do what you do.
If we go to Yeti UK a minute, let's go and grab Woodcoin because I know it will have an issue.
I don't technically work here, by the way. That was a joke.
So the best bit is we don't need to actually download it per se. We can actually pull it straight from GitHub.
Oh, you just put it right in
GitHub, hit
that's
scan,
sick.
and you'll see very momentarily. Do apologize for the small delay. The current server for us is currently at Sam's while it's in active development. I didn't know if he'd want to completely show this off yet, but I did want to make sure that it wasn't just a video or a PowerPoint presentation, that you guys could actually see this thing working, and it does exist. So this will take a few seconds.
I mean, regardless how long this takes, in comparison, how long did it take you to run these you know, audits yourself?
So on average, it takes about 6 hours for us to do an audit. With this on top of the manual checking as well, it will allow us to take a 6 hour to an hour.
That was quick as hell.
Yeah, so we have two engines that are running, a malware analysis engine 1 and 2. We don't just want one engine because one engine could potentially give us the wrong details. So we actually have two. And then everything it learns can be transferred to our neural network by the way of transfer learning to Dynex. I believe we are the first to be trialing transfer learning on Dynex. And that's very much a pet project of Sam's. And myself and you and Serpent. Serpent is very much keen on the EVM side of things, and that's something else that I want to briefly touch on. But as you can see, this can work out whether it's malicious, whether it's a false positive. You know, you will see it, and that's the benefit. And it takes, like I say, a 6 hour audit down to maybe an hour, where we've got to do the real finer details that the AI currently doesn't quite meet our expectations. But that doesn't mean it won't. It's just that at the moment, we're still doing a 50-50 split where we're doing partially automated, partial manual. Eventually, we'll be able to get that really refined out and be able to really bring that on where we can give users the ability to log into the system, perhaps, and just scan what you need. Or blockchains to be able to ask us to scan stuff for them autonomously. We've invited Dynex, Etika, Raptorium, and a few others to the table to come and see what we're doing. And if they like what we're doing, then we're going to offer a way to be able to use this to help secure blockchains.
That's amazing.
And
Can I
that's
just say one thing real quick? So like
yes.
this whole AI thing, right? The scanner you got here, the entire purpose behind this is you guys know that, you know, if you can download malicious wallets or things from GitHub sometimes, and it could back end, you know, put backdoors in your computer to access your core wallets or whatever the case may be. This is the entire reason for these kind of audits here. And now I think the whole 50-50 split thing kind of has to do with, you know, how when you download a miner, your Windows security always gives you a warning stating, you know, it's a crypto miner, blah, blah, blah. Even though it's okay, Windows flags it as a, you know, something's wrong with it. So that's how they have to, you know, iron out the kinks basically with this whole thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So, or kind of what I'm getting for an understanding. I just wanted to lay that out in kind of, you know, simple terms for people like me.
Yeah. And something that obviously has been a big shock to me. Now, Sam sprung this on me, what was it, 5 days ago, I think, pretty much, or a week ago, that he now has brought on EVM contract auditing. So this is the stuff that Vega does, and this is definitely his more his expertise than mine. But between what Samar's done for the autonomy side and Vega's ability to contract audit, this should give us a much more rounded approach. So, and again, it's the same as doing a normal audit. You can either drop in a Solidity file, or you can go and grab it straight off of Etherscan and drop it in and get an answer whether something is a worry, there's something that might not work. Sam actually gave me one to run so that you guys could see what the difference is.
Right, well, this is amazing too, to keep it, you know, just to keep yourself safe. You can actually do this on your own. That's like the biggest thing about it that I love. You know, I don't have to come to you and be like, hey, Yeti, is this thing safe for me to download in my PC?
Exactly. And that's something that a lot of people have asked me. Am I going to build a tool that people can use by themselves? Well, this is the very start of it. And amazing. Like I say, this is something that we're very, very proud of. And I'm sure that Dynex is proud that, you know, we managed to crack the conundrum of transfer learning for neural networks, because that is something I know that they're very keen on researching and fleshing out some more. So as you can see here, this is an external call to use a supplied address vulnerable to the vulnerability is low, and then it gives you a predictive of problem and how it, you know, resolves as a low level entity in the contract audit. This is still got to be fleshed out some more. There's still some more stuff that we need to put in the EVM stuff, but this is just the start of it. We're going to be doing IPFS tags scanning. We're going to be doing EVM contracts. We're just about to potentially bring on Binance Smart Chain contracts as well. So yeah, this is new. It's bound to have a few problems along the way, but I know and have great faith that that Sam will nail it, to be quite honest, because out of all the people I've met recently, a man is right up there for abilities. He's very, very good at what he does. So,
well, that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see.
I love Serpent saying pretty much me out of a job. Don't worry, Serpent, it's pretty much me out of a job too.
Yeah, I saw that. All right, so I think, are we good now? Move on to the next thing, I would assume. Okay, absolutely. So just so you guys know, we're going to be doing the Dynex algo and mining updates with Mr. Sumitomo. He's going to go over everything here, but we do have an AMA right after this. So guys, put your questions in the chat. I'm taking them and putting them aside so we can read everything all at once. Sumitomo, all you, buddy. Let's do it.
Yeah, perfect. So just before we jump into this topic, I want to say there will be all these announcements which we did during this AMA will be posted separately. There will be a recap of everything, obviously, right? Because it's a lot of information. So everyone who didn't have time to tune in, who doesn't want to spend a couple of hours in watching this, there will be everything available after the AMA. and also in different languages as we speak. So yes, let's jump right into the Dynex algo and the mining update because people are very, very curious. So the first part is the mining update. And what have we done? You all know that we have been working very, very hard in removing the malloc endpoint requirement in the miners. So malloc mining, or officially how it's called, Dynex Solve 235, has started public beta testing. So public beta testing means there is the first beta version out of OCM, means also it's fighting blocks, and we are testing the stability, and we are testing how well it works. It has increased performance, scalability, stability, and security. And security is key, as we know. We're going to get to this topic in a second. And once we detect it's stable, then we're going to move it to full production, which means miners are not connecting to malloc anymore. There's no malloc endpoint. There's only Stratum protocol. Now, that is obviously great because I remember even memes being out there about where's my malloc, and stuff like this, and and malloc issues. So that's being solved by that, but there is actually more to it because from an algorithmic perspective, and as I always reiterated, we are doing a step-by-step or a staged development cycle here. We have right now, we have kryptonite hashing, a lightweight version of it, but nevertheless, there is a PoUW part and there's the proof of useful work part, or how Yeti calls it, proof of compute. We're still discussing internally how to call it finally. But nevertheless, this malloc mining update sets the basis so we can remove kryptonite hashing entirely. Because there's actually, and it took our engineers quite a while, or actually more our scientists, to figure out how can we do the proof part, fully integrated in the proof of useful work. And this has been cracked. So as soon as malloc mining is being rolled out in production, we're gonna move to phase number 3, which is the removal of kryptonite hashing. Pure proof of useful work and entangled basically, or the proof being part of the circuits which we are simulating. And that sets also the stage for Dynex Solve X. And we are too early to make announcements about Dynex Solve X, but Dynex Solve X is gonna be, from an algorithmic perspective, probably as impactful as the marketplace for compute. And I leave it by that. And now, as we spoke about that, it's also time to address the topic SRB. We call it the SRB incident. And I'm gonna hand over to Yeti to give his summary about what happened.
Okay, I'll try and keep this a little short because obviously we've done plenty of videos on this already and there's been plenty of talk on it already. But obviously, Dynex had to choose the lesser of two evils, right? You had, well, there was actually 3, I think I suggested in the action report that I submitted to Dynex as a external, independent auditor, which was 1, keep the status quo, which I don't think would have suited anyone. Option 2, which is to remove the cheat mechanism that SRB was using. And 3rd was to outright ban SRB from the network. Now, nobody wants to be banning anyone off the network. That is not, what Dynex is trying to do here. I found something while verifying something else. I checked with the team. The team came back to me and said, this doesn't look right. Can we dig a little deeper? They handed me off the logs. I went through the logs and realized that there was something really, really quite wrong with the data coming in. And so I went digging. And once I started digging, and to be quite honest with the amount of threats, death threats, and all of that came towards me, I didn't want to be the one to have to push this out, right? I tried to reach out to the dev. He paid me a bug bounty, which I am fully transparent of. I've since paid out more than that to people that helped me to verify stuff. So I made nothing on that, even though the bug bounty was there. I paid it out to others because, you know, if you help me with something, I expect to also have to pay a bug bounty, right? That's the way bug bounties work. Now, the problem is that Doctor gave me all the assurances 2 weeks before this all happened, by the way, and all happened quite publicly. He had 2 weeks to fix it. He told me he was going to fix it and then dropped a bombshell in his Discord that he wasn't going to fix it and would be removing Dynex from the SRB miner in the next version. So,
Wow.
and openly in his own Discord said the reason why he did it was greed and money. And that to me
What?
said everything.
Wow.
That to me said everything.
That's a shame
So
because you're supposed to be here for
it
each
is
other
a
as
shame.
miners. That's
Yep.
crazy.
So that's it in a nutshell. Obviously, if you do want to have a bit more of an in-depth, I know that me and SerpentX recently did a video breakdown of it. I'm sure we can get you to stick a link in the description, Chump, of the video if we need to.
Yep.
And obviously, if anyone wants to have a conversation about that, I'm always available if you want to have a proper discussion on it. But obviously, please remember, I'm only doing my job, and death threats are not exactly the most appropriate thing to be sending somebody who's just doing their job.
Agreed.
Thank you, Yedi. And let me iterate. We also measured, obviously, the impact on the network. So by basically forcing SRB to machine learning jobs, the number of workers was reduced by approximately 15%, from 70 to 60,000 workers. But obviously, everybody is expecting it if we're not doing things without having solutions. And regretfully, there was a delay. But we are happy for announcement number 3. Announcement number 3, there will be BC Miner. BC Miner supports NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. He's aiming to releasing this either today or at latest on the weekend as the first version. Obviously, it is new. He's, what I've seen, pretty good in terms of performance, quite astonishing. We're gonna make obviously a separate announcement when it's available for download. But as I said, he's aiming for it either today or on the weekend. And that will allow all AMD miners to perform proper proof of useful work on our network, but also obviously supports NVIDIA, also supports Intel, and as far as I know, it will also support dual mining. There are other additional miners in the works. We are not people announcing stuff which is not fully baked or ready to launch. That's why we are not announcing others yet. But we got permission from BC Miner, and we have been working with him very, very closely. It should have been ready a little bit earlier. Ideally, there would have been no downtime. Nevertheless, it is what it is. And we're very happy to see that this is coming to life now. Now, a lot of people have been asking and wondering what are the next listings for Dynex. And I want to hand over to Outer Space. Outer Space will provide us with an update now.
Yeah, thank you, Sumi. Hey, Champ. Hey, Yeti. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining, man.
Yeah. We all know that our community is very interested in the new listings. But first of all, we are very happy that we managed to get the Dynex from TXBit back and pay them back to the holders. So we were able to help many people of our community. That's, yeah, we liked it.
Perfect.
We have already built up a very good network with almost all major exchanges and had prepared 2 tier 2 listings and also signed the contracts with them. And that's why you may saw the teaser in our Discord. But unfortunately, we were stopped at the last second as these exchanges no longer list privacy coins due to the new regulations. However, these 2 exchanges have confirmed that they would be very happy to list us if we solve this issue. We will get to the solution in a minute. We were also in final talks with 2 tier 1 exchanges. I'm very sorry that I can't tell you the names, but they also want to take the next step if we move away from the privacy concept. I know you all would have liked to hear a listing announcement today, but I'm sure you understand that we have to deal with the new situation first.
Absolutely.
So what are the issues? Some countries have already completely banned the privacy coins, which one you can see here. And with the Know Your Customer and the anti-money laundering, it's almost impossible to offer services anonymous in the future. It's a big, huge problem. And in addition, there is the new MiCA regulation in Europe from this year, which also does not allow anonymous transactions. And last but not least, we all remember that the SEC filed a lawsuit against Coinbase in 2021 for allowing the trade of Monero on its platform. And as a result, the exchanges are hedging themselves more and more. So it's nearly impossible for us to get listed as a privacy coin on the top exchanges. And so we have decided to start 2 community votings. And I may hand over to Sumi again.
Yes, thank you very much for the summary. So going back, the reason why Dynex is a privacy coin was that we thought if we offer compute service, customers want privacy. We thought that our customers do not want traceable and trackable, how many transactions they do, how many Dynex they have, and so forth. Now, given that every customer is on our marketplace creating an account, and we are basically hosting those wallets, those marketplace wallets, we have in any case the power and the possibility to obfuscate that information. So we can ensure that the privacy aspect of our customers can be still guaranteed, even if Dynex would not be a privacy coin. And I hereby, and we're going to launch this officially on Discord, there will be 2 community votings. One voting will be change Dynex to a non-privacy coin. Sounds more problematic than it is. It's actually not. It requires approximately 2 weeks of development time, a transition period of 2 weeks, and it applies to all future transactions. So what's being done is basically from as soon as this vote is passed and as soon as it's rolled out, every future transactions will contain sending and receiving address. Means in the Block Explorer, you will be able to look up the senders, the receivers, and all the transactions. As Autospace mentioned, we discussed this model with the exchanges. They're happy. And we encourage every community member to really think this through. If it's really worth it, keeping Dynex as a privacy coin, our recommendation is to turn it to a non-privacy coin, just also for the sake, not only of listings, but of the future, because there's no real reason that Dynex is a privacy coin. And as we are at it, there will be a second vote, because we have seen that there has been quite some interest about a wrapped Dynex. The W Dynex from TXBit was obviously not a coin or a wrapper launched by Dynex developers. So we are contemplating and we want to gauge the level of interest from the community if we should launch a wrapped Dynex, which would be the 0x Dynex coin, which would allow us to trade on decentralized exchanges, which would allow to store the wrapped Dynex on any smart contract-based wallet, like Trust Wallet, whatever it is. And we're going to put these two votes out. And these votes will be happening on our Discord channel. And having that said, that's the end of what we have prepared. And I'm going to hand back to Champ with the Q&A part of things.
You are awesome, Sumitomo. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We're going to do the AMA stuff. Now, I just put a poll in the chat. Which one would you guys vote on? Obviously, they're going to be doing it in Discord. This is just for fun. I just want to know what you guys are thinking. Mr. Yeti. So what I'm going to do here is, why don't we, do you want to pick questions from the private chat with me, the ones that I've been collecting? I know we've already answered some. I don't know if you just want to rip out the most important ones, and then we'll read the live chat as we go.
Yep. I would guess that obviously all the ones about the AMD miner is obviously been answered, but I will say, and obviously I won't name names, but there are 3 more miners yet to be announced. Two out of the 3, at least 2 of them will support both AMD and NVIDIA. So there really will be some competition. And as we've found out, or I've found out over the years, competition is healthy. Competition breeds innovation. Competition is good for everyone. Because if you get similar problems like again, obviously one miner goes off the rails and does something stupid, then effectively it affects the whole network. So that's the quickest the one about that. So right. So what we got?
Let's I guess wallets. That was a big thing, right? I heard that little I guess news was Tangem is in the works, right? If we're not mistaken, hopefully. Some sort of
so
wallet.
let me jump right into the hardware wallet topic. So that was the first time, or another time basically, where we saw that these one-time ring signatures are actually creating real issues, you know, for offline signature schemes, because you need inputs, you need outputs in order to achieve a real offline signature which is secure on a hardware wallet. You actually, to maintain a view-only wallet, you need to create a transaction, send it back. At the end, you need an agent service. We have been working with OneKey, and OneKey already has pre-orders out there. It's available, right? But at the end, it was necessary to create an offline signature agent service to support that. And that's going to be released to OneKey next week. So they can basically finally launch their support. And Tangem is next on the list. And these will be the 2 hardware wallets which are the short term, or which will be the short term available to support Dynex. But once again, the real roadblock was actually that Dynex is a privacy coin, right? Otherwise, it would have been long done, because otherwise you could easily do offline signatures and then transfer them over for verification.
Gotcha. So this is that OneKey website. If you guys are interested, I'll drop this in the chat. That's awesome though. That's really cool that things are moving along those lines. Because yeah, I mean, like everybody else, I know core wallets are a little tough sometimes, but honestly, yours actually I really don't mind at all, to be honest, personally. But all right, let's see what else we got in the chat.
Asked a good question.
Yeah, go for it.
Zapirate said, can Dynex be used to get decryption keys from ransomware? And at the same time, how is it prevented from using it to crack wallets or legitimate keys?
So first of all, as Yeti has shown in the marketplace, SDK users have certain restrictions in number of chips they can use, number of integration steps they can use, and so on and so forth. Now, if someone would like to, let's say, crack an encryption, first of all, the computing files, they have a very, very distinct fingerprint, I would say, structure. So that's why we are establishing an ethics committee. So everything which is beyond the norm, which is not like the traditional compute that we see, which matches that signature, will be brought up for review to the ethics committee, because we want to keep that network clean of such jobs.
Yeah, the ethics committee is something that obviously still needs to be very much organized, set up, figured out how the system will actually submit stuff to the ethics committee. But from what I gathered while I was chatting with the guys over in Austria, is that the ethics committee is a big part of Dynex, a very big part of Dynex.
That's awesome.
Sure.
All right, let's see. Eddie, you want to bring up the proof of useful work? There we go.
Yep.
I just want to add this to the stage so we can, if you guys
Sure.
have any questions about it, like, you know, it's better than looking at my mug while we're talking about questions or answering questions rather. All right, so Lazarus said, would 0x DNX be only on the ETH chain or other EVMs or other SC chains also on the table with a question mark?
Yeah, so when we put the announcement out, it will be very clear. We are obviously looking at Binance Smart Chain as well, maybe others, right? Especially with the recent news around Ethereum, which we have seen, and you all are aware. It would be probably a multi-chain wrapper.
Gotcha. Let's see what else we got in the chat. All right, I'm gonna start pulling some from the sidebar here. Beach Lover said, how will jobs be assigned to miners? You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, the job scheduling system picks the highest paid jobs first, right? And then now with Maloblaze mining, we have a lot of information. So we can basically split that regionally. We can split it even by GPU type. You know, we can switch it by most suitable GPUs for that kind of job. So the miner in the moment has no influence on what jobs he's being served. It doesn't really matter though, because at the end of the day, all miners are mining in pools, and the computing fees paid are being part of the blocks. So it doesn't matter if the miner is working on job A or 3 or C, right? Eventually, he's gonna get paid of all the computing fees, which are integrated in one job. Now, if you were to ask me, and I've seen that also here, like how much, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, is this profitable or not, right? Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody really knows what's happening or how big it will become. Everyone will be able, through our transparency aspect, to see exactly how many transactions, how much compute, how everything is transparent. But if you ask me our personal opinion, I mean, a market for that sort of computing with the efficiency and the speed is huge. The market for artificial intelligence, machine learning, and everything related is growing exponentially. I would not be surprised if the block rewards will very, very soon be outperformed by the compute fees.
Oh, wow. All right. Now, I guess just kind of segueing off that, feasibility of dual mining, dual mining shouldn't affect anything, right? Like doing Dynex and ZIL or anything along those lines wouldn't really affect anything, right?
If it's correctly implemented, there is no difference.
Okay, yeah, because it just swaps over to ZIL for like a minute and then goes right back. So it shouldn't really affect much, at least from my understanding. Yeti.
I've got a good one.
Go for it.
Perizolx asked, will the Dynex Solve X be open, or are you going to continue to distribute the solver as a closed compiled binary?
So as I always stated, and I reiterate, the ultimate end goal is that everything is open source. Obviously, if you do something staged as we do it, we have to keep it closed until we really have everything closed up, until we have removed kryptonite, etc., etc. Eventually, that will be open source, of course.
Gotcha. We got a question from Chad Wicks in the chat. He said, what chain would Dynex model after if number 1 is picked? Would CN still be used as the algo? But
so we found a way that with actually the first time that somebody is combining one-time ring signatures with a non-privacy coin. So there's basically no difference in mining. There's no difference in algorithm. The only difference is that we will start recording the recipients, so that the from-to wallet addresses in the blockchain, but the signature scheme is not going to be changed. The hashing scheme is going to be changed from Kryptonite to Dynex Solve PoUW, proof of useful work, as soon as that's rolled out.
Gotcha. See anything else, Yeti, you would like to go over?
Let's
see.
So obviously there's a few that have asked about, oh, actually one's just come through now. So when Dynex goes pure proof of useful work, what will secure the network? And also when the miner solves the job as a collective, i.e. part of the pool, is the solution paid across the pool or everyone?
I mean, these are two questions, right? Question number one, how is the network being secured? As maybe it was not clear enough, and we're gonna obviously announce all the details later, but in general, we found a way how to incorporate the proof part into the Dynex chips. And that will basically secure the network instead of Kryptonite. And the second question was, how is it paid? I think, just to be clear one more time, everything which is being paid for compute as block fees goes into the blocks. So let's say there's 100 jobs in one block. Each job pays, let's say, 1 Dynex. So you will have 100 Dynex in that block. And that block is being mined and distributed to the pools as usual. You can think of it as the same model as you were to collect transaction fees, for example.
Gotcha. All right, let's see. I'm just scrolling through, seeing if I missed anything. Let's see. Dylan said, what will be the ideal time on the network for miners look like? I guess we'll start with that first.
Sorry,
there's like 7 questions in there. So he
says,
time. Yeah, idle time. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to like decipher it, but yeah. Then he said it will take a while for Dynex jobs to demand meet the network compute power.
There's never idle time. So every miner today and in the future will always have work, because obviously there will be SDK jobs which will take a while to catch up, but then we have other long-term paid jobs. And for example, what's being computed right now is a long-term job paid by a customer who put down 100,000 Dynex, which sounds a lot of money now. Back then we were happy to find customers, right? It was actually very cheap. So there will always be big customer jobs, long-term jobs, scientific research jobs, and so on and so forth. So I'm zero worried that there will be even a millisecond of idle time on the network.
And then the question we've all been wondering, right? When can we meet the team face to face? Why are they still anonymous? Now, I totally get this, but I don't know. Do you guys want to talk on this?
Just stay tuned. Whenever we are ready, we're gonna announce.
Perfect. I mean, that's enough for me, man. Like, you guys are beyond transparent. Like I said, if you guys were hiding all this stuff, like you can't see the dev wallets, like you guys just got the, what is it, the 6th biggest company in the over in China, like to
no, it's the sixth. It's the 6th largest mobile operator in the world.
Perfect.
And it's the 3rd largest in China.
Oh, okay, 3rd largest. Wow. All right, so it's China Unicorn.
3rd largest in China, 6th largest in worldwide. I mean, everyone can look it up on Wikipedia. I mean, this is
right.
A proper customer.
There's got to be some sort of something to take out of that, anyways. And if you guys are wondering, this is the proof of useful work dashboard that you guys are looking at here on the screen. My man Yeti has it up. Yeah, is there anything else you want to get into, Yeti, before we get out of here?
No, I mean, the only thing I would say on obviously the team being comfortable being on camera, right? I started off, I wasn't on camera. It took me several months before I felt comfortable. Red Panda doesn't even show his face.
Still.
Right. And he's, you know, one of the biggest crypto tubers out there right now.
He's clearly a scammer.
I mean,
Clearly.
if you're all forcing Dynex to go public and be in front of it,
Right.
well, are you also going to go and ask Panda to stand in front of a camera? I don't think so, because there's that respect that he doesn't want to be on camera. There are times where there are other outside influences that can also affect the reason why somebody isn't on camera. Right? That might be legal reasons, political reasons. There's a whole number of reasons why somebody might not feel comfortable about being on camera. To me, the work speaks for itself, and sometimes, you know, that can be a good start, and that's what we're talking about here, a start.
Right. And you know what, Cedric in the chat, even though he's been a bit trolly, he did say it the best. He said, I honestly don't care. Sorry, my kid's yelling. Oh my God. Jeez. Yeah, I got bombarded. All right. He said he doesn't care about their faces. He just cares about the code, honestly, because that's what he trusts. And I totally agree. I mean, I didn't show my face either at the beginning, and that was because I had a separate business, which Sumitomo and I can relate in that regard. I didn't want to come out public as, you know, just like I'm a plumber, right? Master plumber by trade. I had my own business, and it was just weird for me. I didn't want people to like see me on YouTube and see me in their house fixing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was just strange. I didn't want to be, you know, I don't know, kind of doxed like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I really, honestly, I think we answered pretty much every question. I'm reading through everything that I have saved here.
Pretty sure we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
I must say that these last words of yours, beautiful. I mean, this is like really nice to round it up here. You did a fantastic job in hosting us here. Thank you so much for your time and for looking into it and for having us.
I appreciate it, Sumitomo, Yeti, and the rest of the team. You guys are all fantastic, guys. Shout out to Dynex and the team, and please get over to their Discord. I will leave a link in the description below after the fact, so you guys can go take that vote, because obviously that's something we need to do to get to these major exchanges and make things actually, you know, be real. So stay tuned for everything else, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Thank you.